Welcome everybody. In the latest Dissected episode, we're here at Propain Bikes North American headquarters in Vancouver, Washington, where we're going to learn about their all-new Propain Tyee. Let's go meet the crew, grab our bike and take it out into the trails as we learn all about their brand new Enduro Ripper.
Hey, welcome to Propain.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming. Glad you can make it to our North American headquarters. Hey, I'm Victor with Propain North America. I started here about 2.5 years ago. The guys in Germany reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in helping them set up the US office here. And yeah, the bikes are amazing, so I couldn't say anything but yes. So we brought everything over to the US just like they do in Germany. We assemble all our bikes here. We do all our customer service sales and warranty as well out of this office. Today we're going to take you out on the local trails. The Yakult Burn, which is just about 30 minutes from here, and we're going to get Rob set up on a Tyee AL that should be a lot of fun to rip around the trails. So let's go grab your bike for you.
Hey Robert, good to see you. I'm Patrick, the marketing guy here. Let's go grab your bike and hit the trails.
Looks good.
Yeah, so this is your blend alloy edition of the all-new Tyee. This is also available in carbon models as well. This is one of our mid-tier builds with the RockShox suspension, 170 in the front, 160 in the rear. Naturally, customers still have the option to use our full configurator online and customize their build with whatever specs they want. But yeah, we've got this thing all set up with one of our preset builds for you.
All right, so we've had a few laps on the Tyee already, and it's safe to say it's been a whole lot of fun so far. But I think it's time that we learn a little bit more about the details and the changes on this. So why don't you walk us through what's changed on the Tyee for?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the first thing to cover is with the new Tyee, we weren't really setting out to reinvent the bike since it's always been a really solid performer for us. It was just, the idea was to kind of refine an already really good enduro bike. That said, even though there's subtle refinements, there's still kind of a lot to go over. As far as geo goes, first and foremost, with a 160 fork, we're sitting at a 64.5 degree head angle. So previously, the Tyee spec'd with a 170 was going to be 64.5. Now you can run either or, but with the 170 fork, you're going to be out 64.1. So you have that option there to slacken it out or keep it at the original geo. Another aspect is it is slightly longer overall, so a little bit more stability in the downs while still remaining really playful. Again, we still have a really solid pedal position with the seat tube angle, so really great anti-squat performance. Pedaling up your favorite fire road isn't going to be a huge deal. And then once you get descending, you know, the geo is still going to feel a lot like the previous Tyee. So a really centered position is going to feel really in control, and it's never going to feel too slack or unmanageable.
Sweet, and you can get this, we've got the 29er here, but there's multiple wheel size options, right?
Yeah, for sure. So that's probably one of the biggest structural changes is that we're able to run a flip chip now. So you can run this in a mixed wheel with 27.5 in the rear, 29 in the front. That's from medium sizes up. And then you can also run it in full 27.5 medium down or full 29er medium up. So there's options there. There's also other ways you can play with the geometry with the flip chip, you know, but our recommended options still keep you with that 64.5 or 64.1 degree head angle.
Right, and so for the bikes that have already been mulleted or already have the smaller back wheel, you can effectively use that flagship to make it even lower and slacker, right?
Yes, technically, yep. If you check on our website, we have a whole geo layout for all these different combinations. So, it's a fun thing to play around with and kind of look at the geo numbers and how you can tailor it to your specific riding style with all the same components without, buying a whole new rig. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Sure.
Yep. So another thing is the seat tube is 10 millimeters shorter. So that's a piece of feedback that we got from a lot of folks and a lot of our pro riders that that's something that they really wanted to see adjusted in the overall frame design. Aside from purely structural stuff, we now have our rear brakes integrated into the rear triangle. So they're tucked back in, a lot more protection from either getting bashed or just debris.
It looks way better too, right?
It does look super clean, and that's like a theme throughout the Tyee. It's super clean, it's super quiet, it's meant to be super durable. So yeah, acros stainless steel bearings throughout. That's one aspect that really, really ups the durability. And paired with like our dirt shields that we run on all our bearing covers, it's going to make the longevity of your ride feel a whole lot better for a whole lot longer.
Speaking to the elephant in the room, the internal headset cable routing, what can you tell us about that? How did that come about?
Yeah, sure. So this was something we partnered with Acros with to develop a solution that's a lot cleaner and sleeker than some previous iterations you may have seen. So with this, you don't have to route through the stem. You go under the stem and then through a special spacer. And then with that, we're able to keep any contact of the cables out of the head tube, so there's nothing rubbing on your, the internal bits of your head tube, which I know has been a big concern for folks. Another cool thing about this system is there's a spacer system that you can snap in and out. So if you want to make adjustments, raise or lower your stem or make changes like that, you don't have to take apart the whole assembly. You don't have to, remove your brake cables, things like that. And the whole system is really well engineered. It's really well thought out. Everything Propain does is only after, years of thought and engineering into it. So yeah, it's a really cool solution, honestly.
And this alloy one here, you've also got the option to route it the conventional internal way if you don't.
Exactly. So if you really, really, really hate it, you don't want to go this route at all, our alloy version has your traditional ports that you can internally route, and you can avoid the whole thing if you'd like to.
Awesome, but that's not the case with the carbon, so to keep it clean there. And
exactly. With that, we were able to kind of stiffen up the whole head tube area of the bike while still lightening things up a bit. So there's not that option on the carbon, but that remains available on the alloy.
And speaking to the carbon and the alloy versions, what differences have you made to the frame elsewhere?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing is that in both frames, the carbon and the alloy, they both received about 10% stiffer rear triangle. So with these slight construction changes, the alloy, we were actually able to drop a bit of weight. And for the carbon version, we added just a little bit of weight in adding this stiffness. So not a ton has changed there. We still have the same like super sturdy blend carbon and blend alloy constructions. So yeah.
Cool. And the Propain system remains. Have you changed that at all, the kinematics?
The kinematics are pretty similar. It's actually a slightly less progressive shock stroke. Okay. But otherwise, everything has pretty much remained the same. Still have, super good anti-squat numbers. And like I said before, pedaling and, getting up to your favorite descent is still relatively effortless.
And in terms of build options, how can people buy their Tyee?
Sure, yeah, so we have the alloy version that starts out at $2,999 and the carbon at about $3,500. We've got some pre-configured build kits that can work all the way up to about $8,500. But one really cool aspect of the Tyee launch is in the United States and globally, we now have the full configurator where you can go in, choose every part that you want, and customize the full build. So yeah, something we're super excited about.
Yeah, it's a really nice touch. And within all of those different build specs, you can still choose between 3 different frame colors and then independently change the graphics. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's 3 different frame colors for each material. So in total, there's really 6 different colors. And then with that, we've got a bunch of different decal colors you can choose and customize. So yeah, you can really make the bike your own. You know, even though we own our own Propain bikes, we still can have fun playing around and configuring our own like new builds on the configurator. So it's a fun thing to just even go around and poke around on.
I've definitely played with that in the past.
Yeah.
It is pretty good fun seeing your kind of ideas come to life. It's certainly looking good these days. I think we should go get some more laps on it.
Yeah, let's ride it.
Yeah, see how it performs. Awesome. Well, that has been an excellent ride on board the brand new Propain Tyee. And yeah, thank you so much for showing us around your local trails. It's been a super fun time.
Thanks for ripping with us, for sure.
Over the course of the ride, I think I've come up with a few questions that I'd love to know from you guys. First of which, the standout feature I think for me so far has just been how quiet this thing runs. Can you tell me how you guys have achieved that? Like, what have you done differently on the new one to make it so quiet?
I mean, that was one of the goals set out in the engineering process, was to make this super quiet. So the only thing that you have to pay attention to is just, you know, yourself and the trails. Obviously, the main feature of that is the cable routing system. So, you know, you don't have all these cables bunched up, banging against each other while you're going through rock gardens or anything like that. So yeah, other than the headset routing, we've got the new chainstay protector that uses a softer rubber. So yeah, that really helps to damp down the chain slap noise and keeps everything super quiet on the trail.
Yeah, definitely seems like it's making a difference. Bike runs super quiet. It's been quite impressive. So in terms of the two frame materials that they offer, obviously you have the carbon and the alloy, which are pretty much the same in terms of their features and the build kits that you offer. How would you advise that customers make the choice between a carbon and an alloy frame?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think one of the big reasons would just be a little bit of cost saving. The alloy is always going to save you just a little bit of money. Then again, the carbon is going to save you a little bit of weight. Everything else beyond that, there's nothing super different in terms of performance. So anything outside of those two factors is just going to come down to personal preference.
Okay. And of course,
yeah, that's the other aspect. I think the main theme here is just giving folks the options. So with the alloy, you have options to run the traditional cable routing.
Awesome. When it came to the development of the Tyee, who were you listening to? Who was like kind of informing you of the decisions that needed to be made to develop the new bike?
Sure. Naturally, we're listening to a ton of customer feedback. Our customer service team is excellent, and we do a really good job of taking all that feedback to heart. Yeah, aside from that, naturally, we're listening to our pro athletes. So Remy Metallier actually worked super closely with our engineering department to give feedback of you know, how the bike performs in some of the gnarliest conditions. So yeah, we couldn't really ask for a better test subject for things, because obviously everybody knows he puts his bikes to the test. And you know, I think that was it, pretty much.
I think he does a pretty good job at testing bikes. He's, I think, quite dialed with how he sets up his equipment and stuff as well. So I guess he gives pretty good feedback in that respect too. So I guess with the flip chip that's on there, do you think that people are going to buy the bike and then convert the wheel size down the road, or is it, what sort of led you to make that decision? Yeah,
I mean, that's always an option. I think one of the big motivating factors is that you can just change the geo up with the wheel size that you choose. But that said, you do have the option down the line to, you know, run a mixed setup after you've been running a 27.5 or a 29, and you just want to get a feel for a slightly different geo or the same geo just with a different, you know, wheel setup. So if you want to keep a spare 27.5 with you for a bike park day or something like that, you can do that. Again, a big theme, just being able to have those options is super important.
Awesome. And in terms of those wheel sizes, you reckon like the smaller wheels are going to be the better kind of option for the bike park, and then the bigger wheels for more kind of pedally days, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what you know, we hear from riders, is that the maneuverability and like the flickability of the mixed wheel setup is something that's super conducive for the bike park and, you know, throwing the bike around a bit. But when you're really just looking for those long haul treks and plowing through stuff, setting it up 29er is great. And of course, you know, you can always go full 27.5 if that's your speed.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's been super interesting learning about the Tyee, and extremely fun riding the local trails with you and putting it to the test. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
Sweet. Let's go get one more lap on it and then talk about how it's been riding. Well, that has been a seriously fun ride on board the brand new Propain Tyee. But as with all of our Dissected features, this has only been a little first ride preview. This is not intended to be a long-term review. So do stay tuned for that coming to the site in the coming months. But for now, I think it's clear that the biggest takeaway features from the Propain are, number one, just how quiet it runs when you're riding down the trail. There's really no cable noise, no cable rattle, and the chain's pretty damn quiet too, which makes a really nice kind of smooth feeling when you ride it. It takes away that extra little bit of vibration that a loose cable or a slapping chain can give, and yeah, just kind of improves the overall feel, the overall comfort of the bike while you're riding it hard. The suspension platform, I feel like, compared to the Tyee that I've rode in the past, the old carbon fiber one, certainly this feels like it's got a slightly more supple kind of edge to it. On the the sort of chattery roots and rocks on the trail, it really takes off the sting of those and makes for a really comfortable and traction-rich ride, which has been super fun pushing hard. Even though we've been sending some jumps that I certainly am not very familiar with. It's the first time I've ridden here, and there's been a couple of little botched landings along the way. It has taken all of it on its stride, and yeah, managed to keep me kind of comfortable, my ankles free of any pain from any harsh landings. So I think there's enough progression to run it with the coil, but even still, I think they have designed it so that it'll be still very compatible with air shocks. So if that's the way that you want to go, that's probably still a safe option too. Otherwise, the build kit that we've tested, I believe it's the Shred Squared build package on this alloy frame. Everything is pretty damn dialed. It's quite a standard kind of build kit, all SRAM spec. The only thing perhaps that I don't love is the Newman wheel set. They do feel a little bit on the soft and flexy side for me. I am a heavy guy pushing fairly hard on trails that I don't know that well. So potentially not everyone will have the same kind of issue with that. But then if it was me, I'd probably be speccing a slightly more durable and super stiff wheel set just to support some slightly harder charging. But certainly from testing these wheels in the past, I know that they do hold up fairly well. So they're probably not a terrible option for the majority of riders. Climbing this bike has been super solid, given that it's 160, 170mm 29er. With not the lightest build kit in the world, it still accelerates fairly well. The Pro 10 suspension platform does give you a lot of kind of pedal support, and because they do manage to separate the kickback from the anti-squat, the rear end is still able to move fairly freely while you're pedaling it up kind of rough and chundery terrain. And it doesn't give you a huge amount of feedback through the saddle, it doesn't make it uncomfortable, and it does mean that you can still get fairly reasonable traction while you're climbing too. But certainly as enduro bikes go, this is quite an efficient one and quite a pleasant climber. And yeah, then on the descents it does absolutely shred really nicely, and kind of blends a overall handling package. It doesn't put it at the absolute most sort of shreddy end of the spectrum where it's super stable and planted. It kind of gives still a fairly stable and supportive ride, but then for the slightly less gnarly sections of trail, it still retains a level of agility that makes it kind of acceptable and quite pleasant to ride all around. So I think Propain has done a really killer job updating their Tyee and bringing it up in line with the top contenders in the enduro market, and it's a bike that we're very excited to put more miles onto for the long-term review. Hope you guys have enjoyed learning more about this brand new Propain Tyee, and we'd like to thank Propain for making this Dissected feature possible and showing us around some pretty damn awesome trails. If you have, then give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think about this new bike, and if that headset cable routing is a deal breaker, we don't think it should be, it's pretty damn neat. And subscribe to the channel to see more awesome content on awesome bikes like this. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Catch you out on the trails.